This stone blade is sharper than the scalpel that might one day save your life. It was made 30,000 years ago by someone who supposedly didn't understand technology.
This is perhaps the finest example of an obsidian blade we've ever uncovered. The craftsmanship is simply stunning.
By the end of this video, you'll see why everything you learned about primitive humans is completely backward, and why some of their innovations have never been matched. In 1996, archaeologists in Germany pulled a stone blade from frozen soil. They ran tests. The edge measured 0.002 millimeters thick. For context, a modern surgical scalpel, 0.005 millimeters. This blade was sharper, made from obsidian, shaped by pressure flaking, designed with mathematical precision. And here's what shattered assumptions. It was 32,000 years old. No metal, no machines, no written instructions, just hands, stone, and knowledge we're still trying to understand. We've been told a comfortable story. Humans started primitive and slowly got smarter. Cave dwellers, barely surviving, but the evidence tells a radically different story. Picture this. A woman sits beside a fire in what is now France, 28,000 years ago. In her hands, a bone needle, thinner than a modern sewing pin, with an eye drilled so precisely it could thread sinew without splitting. She's stitching fitted leather clothing using a backstitch pattern, the same stitch you'd learn in a tailoring class today. This isn't primitive, this is engineering. Scientists analyzing these needles found something shocking. The drill holes show understanding of torque, pressure distribution, and material stress points. One wrong move, the bone shatters. They didn't make wrong moves, but needles are just the beginning. What they created with adhesive proves they understood chemistry in ways that would terrify modern researchers. Let me show you why. Birch bark tar. Sounds simple, right? It's not. 30,000 years ago, humans in Europe were manufacturing this adhesive to attach stone points to wooden spears. Here's the process they had to master. Heat birch bark to exactly 340 to 400 degrees Celsius. No higher, or it burns, no lower, or it doesn't convert. Maintain this temperature for hours, collect the tar without modern containers, and they did this underground in oxygen-limited pits to prevent combustion. A chemist from Leiden University tried replicating this in 2019. With modern temperature gauges, protective equipment, and written instructions. It took him 47 attempts to get it right. These primitive humans, they taught this to their children without writing a single word down. Remember that detail about oxygen-limited pits? Because what archaeologists found inside those pits changes everything we thought about ancient knowledge transfer. Inside adhesive production sites across Europe, researchers discovered something they didn't expect. Identical techniques separated by 800 miles and 3,000 years. Same pit design, same bark selection, same temperature control method. This wasn't coincidence. This was a teaching network. Think about what this means. Without phones, without writing, without any communication system we'd recognize, humans maintained technical standards across a continent for millennia. How? Dr. Elena Kosteleva from Cambridge studied wear patterns on apprentice tools versus master tools from 25,000 years ago. She found evidence of multi-year training programs, mistakes preserved in stone, corrections visible in reflaking patterns, progression from crude to refined over hundreds of practice pieces. A 7-year-old child in prehistoric France was learning skills more complex than most of us will master in our entire lives. But here's where it gets unsettling. These weren't the most advanced tools they made, the most sophisticated technology. We found it frozen in Siberian permafrost, and it shouldn't exist. Yana River, Siberia, 2001, temperature 40 degrees year-round. For the last 30,000 years, a team pulls a carved ivory needle from frozen earth. Standard Stone Age find, right? Wrong. Under microscopic analysis, they discovered the needle was made from woolly mammoth ivory, one of the hardest organic materials on Earth. To shape it, ancient humans had to select ivory with specific grain orientation, score it using stone tools harder than the ivory itself, polish it with abrasive powders they had to manufacture, drill an eye smaller than a grain of rice without cracking the entire piece. Modern ivory carvers using steel tools say this would take 40+ hours of focused work for a single needle. They made dozens. But here's the part that haunts researchers. Inside the same frozen layer, they found failed attempts, cracked needles, broken drills, shattered ivory pieces. 30,000 years ago, someone was practicing, someone was teaching, someone said, "Try again, you'll get it." These weren't just scattered inventions by lucky individuals. This was systematic knowledge, refined, taught, improved over generations. And then, suddenly, it disappeared. Between 25,000 and 15,000 years ago, something catastrophic happened. Ice sheets advanced, temperatures plummeted, populations crashed, and with them, entire knowledge systems vanished. Adhesive recipes that took centuries to perfect, gone. Blade-making techniques that produce surgical-grade edges, lost. Ivory working methods, forgotten. Not because the technology failed, because the people who knew it died before they could pass it on. Archaeologists call this technological regression. But that term misses the tragedy. Imagine if everyone who understood antibiotics died tomorrow. No books survive, no labs remain. In 3 generations, your descendants would know medicine existed, but they couldn't recreate it. That's what happened 20,000 years ago. Sites across Europe show the same pattern. Sophisticated tools in lower layers, cruder versions above. Not because humans got dumber, because the knowledge chain broke, which forces us to ask an uncomfortable question. If technology this advanced could be lost without a trace, what else disappeared that we'll never find? Here's what keeps archaeologists awake at night. We've excavated less than 0.01% of potential prehistoric sites. Most organic materials, wood, leather, plant fibers, decay completely within 10,000 years. Everything we've found is just what happened to survive. What about wooden machines, rope technology, plant-based chemistry? In 2018, researchers in Israel found 19,000-year-old plant fibers twisted into 3-ply rope. The technique was identical to modern maritime rope. That single strand survived by accident, preserved in clay. How much didn't survive? We're looking at shadows of shadows. So here's what we actually know. 30,000 years ago, humans were manufacturing chemical adhesives through multi-stage processes. They were crafting blades sharper than modern surgical tools. They were teaching complex skills across continents without writing. They were solving materials science problems that challenge us today. And then most of it vanished. Not recorded, not remembered, just gone. That obsidian blade from the beginning, it's sitting in a German museum right now, still sharp, still precise, still unexplained by any simple narrative about primitive humans. It's a reminder that innovation isn't linear, that complexity isn't modern, and that our ancestors weren't surviving. They were thriving with knowledge we're only beginning to recover. Which leaves one question hanging. If civilizations 30,000 years ago knew this much, what did they know 50,000 years ago? 100,000? And how much of human genius has been lost to time? Let me know which lost technology you want explained next. This is Before Civilization, where history goes deeper than you were taught.